Welcome everyone who's here. It's a really special year for the Shamrock Club of New Dublin, as it's our 40th year. Can you believe it? Our show tonight will start with bagpipes, accompanying the flags of the United States and Ireland. The flags will be carried in by two past presidents of the Shamrock Club, Dawn Laughlin and Ryan Lanning. And the pipers are Hans Thompson and Jesse Murphy. So if I could ask the audience to please stand for the two national anthems. Before we do the Irish national anthem, I would like to have the bagpipers and flags process, please.
And now we'll do the Irish national anthem. You may be seated, by the way. Thanks to high school students for joining Angela Nearing and Melissa Mulroy. They are Grace Leone, Halen Gonering, Carson Gregory, John Nearing, Sydney Garza, and Maddox Newman. Thank you so much for being a part of our 40-year celebration.
Very glad to have these handsome leprechauns, stage hands, helping us tonight. Brady and John. Thank you, guys. I wanted to mention this year, that our 40th year, and we've had a different theme for every year. And these are the buttons that every single year we come up with a theme and design a button, and a lot of people collect the buttons. This particular collection came off the wall from Pup's Irish Pub, and he has this displayed in the bar year-round. So if you would like to take a closer look at these afterward, if you want to, I can put them out there, but right now we'll leave them here. At this time, I'd like to introduce the first president of the Shamrock Club of New Dublin. I don't think it was even called the Shamrock Club of New Dublin then. We had a different name for it. It was called St. Pat, and that stood for Society to Preserve Ancestral Tradition. That was thought up by fluffy Dave Barrington. So right now I would like to introduce Richard Murphy, our very first Shamrock Club president, and Dick is going to speak about the beginning and the formation of our club.
Thank you, Melissa. Céad Mia Fáilte. That's Irish for 100,000 welcomes, and welcome to our program. I'm Dick Murphy. I'm one of the founders of the Shamrock Club, and I was president of the club for about the first 20 years. About a month ago, Melissa asked me if I would give a brief history of the Shamrock Club at tonight's program. I said I would, but brief? I'm Irish. There's no such thing as a brief speech. But I promise I'll try to keep it short. The original mission of the Shamrock Club was to bring individuals of Irish descent and relationship, or those that wish they were Irish, together for the purpose of celebrating our rich Irish heritage. But we soon realized that it goes far beyond that. We were in a unique position to be able to promote not only our Irish heritage, but also the city of New London, New Dublin, its businesses and its residents. You may not know this, but the Shamrock Club in New Dublin was originally known as the Society to Preserve Our Irish Culture and Heritage, and then briefly the St. Patrick's Day Parade Committee. In 1989, we became a chapter of the Shamrock Club of Wisconsin, Milwaukee. The Shamrock Club of Wisconsin has about a dozen chapters around the state. We were also instrumental in the formation of the Shamrock Club of Northeast Wisconsin in Green Bay and the Shamrock Club of the Fox Cities. We also helped the Oshkosh area with their Summer Irish Fest and any organization that may need our help. When you mention St. Patrick's Day in New Dublin, most people usually think of the parade. The parade is billed as the largest St. Patrick's Day parade in the state of Wisconsin, and for good reason. It is the largest. Milwaukee may disagree, but we are, not just in number of entries, but also for the largest crowds. We participated in the Milwaukee Parade several times, but it pales in comparison to the New Dublin Parade. The parade and all the shenanigans surrounding it unofficially started in 1983 when a group of rowdy Irishmen, and excuse me if I miss anyone, including Mike Coyle and his children, Dave Sarna, Ken and Judy Fields and their children, David Fluff Barrington, Dave and Melissa Mulroy, Steve Trauger, Tom Mucci and Judy Barrington, Dan Deadeye Barrington, Terry Cooney, Jamie Keene, Tom, Rita, and Corey Berg, Jim Huffman, Mark Miles, Gary and Julie Holm, and others that may or may not remember being there. They gathered at Coyle's Emporium, placed a mannequin, Michael Finnegan, in a homemade coffin, called it Finnegan's Wake. Then, after a little liquid encouragement, proceeded to march down the middle of North Water Street to Summers Midtown, which is now El Tequila, much to the dismay of the local law enforcement. You see, they didn't apply for a parade permit. Little did we know that today, Mike Coyle's Finnegan's Wake would still be a featured part of our parade and festivities, and has also been in parades around the state, winning first place for best entry many times. Dave Sarna recently told me that this year's version is a must-see. In 1984, the Finnegan's Wake crew, along with a few new recruits, gathered in the upper room above Summers Midtown to plan the next parade. This time they applied for a parade permit, and the first official St. Patrick's Day parade with 23 entries was allowed to march on one side of the street. Yes, there was traffic still coming in the other direction. We were lucky that no one got run over. The following year, they were finally granted the use of both sides of the street. Over the years, the parade route and staging area have changed to accommodate the enormity of the parade. By 1994, the parade had 150 entries. Believe it or not, the Highway 45 bypass that goes around the east side of town was built just for rerouting the St. Patrick's Day parade traffic. But there is more than the parade going on during that week. My wife, Pat, after walking along the parade route, realized we needed something for the crowd to do after the parade, and New Dublin's Irish Fest was born. Did you know that the first Irish Fest was held in the vacant Gabriel's Flower Shop in the Wolf River Plaza? Well, that venue was way too small. So we moved to the old American Legion, which is now the Waters, for a couple of years, but that was too small. So we thought, why not put up a tent? Then the following year, we put up a larger tent. And then the next year, a giant tent. And now you see what we have out there now that just went up. How about providing Irish entertainment, serving food and drink, a marketplace where people can buy all things Irish? And the snowball grew larger and larger. After the first official parade was in the books, we had a brilliant idea. We should change the name of the city to an Irish name like New Dublin for the parade and for the festivities. The club talked it over, and we approached the city council with the idea, and New Dublin was born. So then we thought, well, let's change the population signs to New Dublin so everyone will know. Another true fact, that first year after we changed the signs to New Dublin, some truckers didn't appreciate it after they got lost trying to find New London. I'm pleased to announce that this year the city has put up new signs recognizing our sister city, Killaloe, Ireland. They're temporary for now and are located by O'Reilly's Auto Parts on the north side of town and by the Quiver and Minnow on the south side. Now, every year, Melissa formally asked the City Council to change the city's name to New Dublin, and we start the week of festivities off with our local leprechauns changing the signs to New Dublin. This activity has not gone unnoticed. It is now mentioned on local and national news. New Dublin is also mentioned in national travel publications as one of the top places in this nation to see the St. Patrick's Day festivities. The club also wanted to provide more Irish activities during the week leading up to the parade, so we designated Tuesday as Hooligan Day. I have no idea why we decided to call it that, but it has stuck for all these years. In the 1980s, Pups Irish Pub and Summers Midtown were our Irish headquarters. They, along with other restaurants, serve corned beef and cabbage around St. Patrick's Day, and we wanted to get the word out to visit and support these businesses. Traditionally, corned beef and cabbage was a staple of any Irish family in the old country. It was cheap and the ingredients were readily available. Our Irish immigrants brought it to this country, and it is now a featured dish this time of the year on almost every restaurant's menu. Wednesday is dedicated to Irish caroling. Melissa Mulroy and Judy McDaniel started hosting Irish caroling at the senior facilities in the late 1980s. This is still a very popular evening, and the residents look forward to it each year. Anyone can come and join us as we entertain the residents. One of the founders of the Shamrock Club was my father, Jerry Murphy. He grew up in Lebanon, a predominantly Irish farming community just northwest of the city. In 1928, at the age of 5, his mother, Agnes Hurley Murphy, had him sing an Irish tune on the stage at the St. Patrick's Day program held at the St. Patrick's Parish in Lebanon. Traditionally, people came from miles around for each year's program. Sadly, though, the program at St. Pat's Parish was put on hold in the late 1950s. But each year, Dad kept entertaining for St. Patrick's Day around the area. He always wanted to revive the Irish program, and his dream was finally fulfilled with the renewed interest surrounding the parade. In 1986, the Irish program was reborn in the dance hall above John's Bar. It then moved to Most Precious Blood Gym, then to the Washington Junior High, and now here at the Senior High. Dad emceed the program for about 10 years until cancer slowed him down, and he asked me to MC, but he still kept performing in the program till he passed at age 86. That's over 80 years of sharing his Irish heritage with the community. Since the beginning, the Shamrock Club has made it a priority to keep all events family-friendly. The Irish Lad and Irish Lassie Poetry Contest is one example. It began under the direction of Melissa Mulroy and Fluff Barrington. New Dublin grade school students are encouraged to write a short poem with an Irish theme. Members of the club read the entries. The Lad and Lassie are chosen and treated as royalty at our daily events, and you'll be hearing from them shortly. Also, the Leprechauns not only change signs, but they visit area schools, nursing facilities, hospitals, and other establishments, spreading Irish wisdom and charm to everyone they meet. In the mid-1990s, we realized that more visitors were coming and staying in New Dublin before the parade. We saw a great opportunity to introduce something new, the Irish Céilí. The Céilí is a traditional Irish social gathering with music and dancing similar to square dancing. We have an Irish band perform, and an Irish dance instructor, a caller, teaches everyone the basic dance steps. It's held at Crystal Falls under the direction of Mike O'Connell. Friday night before the parade, and is now one of the most popular events of the week. Each year the event has grown. It now draws hundreds of dancers and wannabe dancers from around the state, with participants from toddlers to seniors. We highly recommend that you bring your entire family to this event tomorrow night. At this time, I would like to acknowledge the following charter members that contributed to the startup of the Shamrock Club of New Dublin. Margaret Barrington. She was the club's godmother in our first Irish Rose. David Fluff Barrington. Judy Fields. Tom Mucci and Judy Barrington. Mooch was our first St. Patrick and has now passed that on to his son Lincoln. Dave and Regina Bricko, Margie Bricko, Brenda Cloutier, Mike and Donna Coyle, Bob and Gail Crane, Patrick and Betty Curran, Maureen Egan and Dan Benke, John Egan, Helen Fitzgerald. Helen was instrumental in designing our logo, Spirits Are Bubbling in New Dublin. Timothy Hunt, Ed and Marie Jakadich, Lois Karp, Colleen Kelly, Jim and Elaine Lawhern, Pup and Don Lawhern, Tom and Sally McCormick, David and Melissa Mulroy, Gerald and Jenny Murphy, Richard and Patricia Murphy, Ron Murphy, Alice Norby, Jerry and Denise O'Neill, Ed and Barbara Reynolds, David Sarna, Betty Shoki, Annette Sexton, Patrick Sexton, and Sheila Wilson. These past 40 years of Spirits Are Bubbling in New Dublin would not have been made possible without the dedication and hard work of all the past and present club members. From our event promotions and fundraising, we've been very fortunate to be able to give generously back to the community through scholarships, grants, and donations to various causes. To date, the Shamrock Club has distributed approximately $250,000. I want to thank them all, past and present, for working tirelessly behind the scenes to make New Dublin's Irish festivities such a success. Let's give them all a big round of applause. Well, I tried to keep it brief, but I see they're getting the hook ready over there, so I'd best be going. For a wealth of information on the Shamrock Club in New Dublin, please check our website, newdublin.com/Shamrock Club. And I would like to close with an Irish toast. There are good ships and there are wood ships, the ships that sail the sea. But the best ships are friendships, and may they forever be. Thank you, enjoy the program, and happy St. Patrick's Day. Ladies and gentlemen, Leah Looker.
Thank you, Dick. A lot of great memories in 40 years, amazing. I'd like to introduce a big highlight in our program, the Kinsella Dancers. Tonight they will be led by Kylie, and she will tell us a little bit about them after their first dance. So please give a big hand for the Kinsella Dancers.
Good evening. Thank you all so much. We are the Kinsella Irish Dancers, and we are so excited to be here tonight. That was our opening reel, where you got to see all of our dancers for the evening doing a couple different styles of Irish dancing, including some solo steps and some group dancing, which we call Ceilidh. Next up, we're going to have some dancers perform the light jig. All right, next up we're going to bring out a couple of our championship dancers to dance the slip jig. Our next dance will feature heavy shoes, and it's called the hornpipe. Our next dancer is Ella, dancing King of the Fairies. All right, next up we have our intermediate dancers dancing the Jig and Reel Party. Thank you all so much for having us this evening. We are the Kinsella Irish Dancers, and hopefully we'll see you at the parade on Saturday. We have one final number. It's our a cappella called Rhythm.
Thank you, Kinsella Dancers and Kylie. They are always amazing to have here. And a reminder, they will be at the parade on Saturday, so please come and see them. I'd now like to introduce Joan Malliette to talk about the duties of the leprechauns and their importance in the community during Irish Week.
Hello. I'm going to share some information about one of our St. Patrick's Week activities that most people don't know too much about, although Dick Murphy did talk a little bit about it. It's Leprechaun Day. Now, many of you have seen the clips of our leprechauns on the news as they changed the signs from New London to New Dublin on Monday. You may even have seen a hammer or another tool being tossed to one of them, and that he tumbles off the ladder to the ground. But those media shots are only a very small part of what those leprechauns do throughout the day on Monday. Many years ago, a group of dedicated Shamrock Club members and friends decided that after dressing up as the leprechauns and doing the media shots, they'd like to visit some of the local schools and businesses to spread Irish cheer. Throughout the years, leprechauns Mooch Barrington, Pup Lawhern, Jerry O'Neill, Pat Sullivan, Dave Weinberg, Greg Bruette, Dave Stretch Riva, Bob Leahy, and our only female leprechaun, Teresa Hamas, have graciously promoted our events of that day. Our present leprechauns, Ryan Lanning, Colin Lawhern, Connor Lawhern, and Ryan Malliott, have continued this tradition. On Monday, they started their day at 7:30 by changing the signs and taping promos for the television stations, followed by visiting 3 daycare centers, 4 local grade schools, St. Joseph Residence, Trinity Terrace, and the Washington Center. They visit each classroom from pre-K to 4th grade, talking with the students and giving them green beads or stickers or silicone bracelets, promoting our upcoming parade and answering any questions that come from the students. It was fun watching some of their former teachers as they recognized some of these leprechauns that they'd had earlier in their classrooms. And in fact, Connor even had the chance to try the slide out at Sugarbush Playground, his grade school that he attended. At the care facilities, they try to visit each resident. They present them each with bead necklaces and green carnations that are donated by the Shamrock Club. And shortly after 4 p.m., they were able to visit with some local businesses and finally sit back and relax after their busy day. What many people don't realize is that they personally touch about 1,100 lives on their travels throughout our city that day. They've become very important ambassadors for our group and for our community. The Shamrock Club wants to thank all of our leprechauns, past and present, for their outstanding service, and hope if you encounter any of them, you share your appreciation. Thank you.
Thank you, Joan Malliott. That was very enlightening, wasn't it? Thank you. I would like to introduce next Ann Madden Stedman. Ann is our current Shamrock Club president, and I'm announcing her maiden name because there's a lot of Maddens in our area, and she's going to come out right now and tell you a little bit about them. Welcome, Ann.
Thank you, Melissa. Good evening, everyone. It is an honor and a privilege to represent this club and to celebrate our Irish heritage with all of you. Anyone who knows me knows that I am very proud to be Irish, and I love celebrating it. I was born and raised in Lebanon, where the Irish heritage was celebrated and recognized as I grew up on Madden Road. Almost all neighbors were Irish, and I attended St. Pat's Catholic Church. My great-uncle Bill Madden and great-aunt Irene Madden were the Irishman and Irish Rose in 1990. Every year, my grandparents would head into town early to park their car downtown on Main Street, eat lunch at Midtown, and watch the parade. I have fond memories of the excitement that came into town with the parade and other festivities. I am so proud to stand up here and tell you that this is our 40th year as a club of bringing Irish fun and entertainment to New London. We started out with a group of Irish men and women who wanted to celebrate the Irish heritage by having a small walk through downtown that has led to a parade with over 100 entries, a huge tent with Irish entertainment, vendors, and beverages. It takes a village to put on this event, and I am so thankful for each and every one of our volunteers who help make this a success every year. As you walk around town, please take note of the painted shamrocks on the streets and parking lots at various local businesses. Please look for the flyers, posters, and placemats displaying our events and sponsors. We wouldn't be able to do this without the support of the City of New London and these establishments. We are very involved in the community, and in the last year, we donated over $20,000 back to the community of New London. Some organizations are the New London Public Library, Badger State Leadership, Bulldog Gridiron Club, New London Area First Responders, Girl Scouts of Northeast Wisconsin, Wolf River Art League, 3 scholarships to New London High School seniors, which we offer every year, New London Youth Baseball, the Sturgeon Shuffle, Rawhide Fish Fry, New London Irish to purchase Irish baseball uniforms, the May Festival, New London Police Explorers, and Racing for Education, to name a few. Most of the volunteers in the tent are not-for-profit organizations, and when they volunteer at our event, we donate back to their organization. If you're interested in learning more about the Shamrock Club of New Dublin, please reach out to me or any club member. From the Shamrock Club of New Dublin, thank you again for coming tonight. Up next is our own hometown Abe Auer to share some of his comedy. He's been offering his comedy at some clubs in the area, and he has prepared this special routine for New Dublin.
Well, thank you so very much. It's great to be here. I was here last year, and I caught a little flack from some family members for some jokes I told. So I'm hoping to do the same this year, honestly. You know, one thing I've learned about being Irish, when life gets hard, you can make it a little harder on yourself. It's okay. People will support you, and I'd like to share just a few things what I love about New Dublin. Now, just remember, these are jokes, and one thing I've learned about being Irish is that if it's funny, it's probably also just a little bit mean, okay? That's what I've learned from my family. So what I like to share is 7 things I love about New Dublin and reasons I probably won't leave. These are in no particular order, and honestly, I don't even know if they're 7. It just felt like the right number to put on this. One thing I love about New Dublin, and I appreciate there's so many people here, you had a lot of options, a lot of entertainment options. You could have been anywhere tonight. Walmart, Quick Trip, the other Quick Trip, I don't know. You had some choices. Another thing I love about New Dublin, the quality of our roads. It's great. You know, we have the Miracle Mile. If you can go a mile without hitting a pothole, it's a miracle, okay? Okay. It's okay. We have a wheel tax. It will get fixed, okay? Another thing I love about New Dublin, we have great hotels. We have the hotel where someone was murdered a couple years ago. And we have the other hotel across the road from that hotel where no one has been murdered yet. They both have pools, so at this point I feel like it's a toss-up. I mean, you should be fine either way. Another thing I love about New Dublin, we do have a great police force. Let's give it up one time for our officers. Yeah. They are going to be working hard on Saturday, and I appreciate it. One thing I appreciate about our local police is they don't hire just anybody. Okay, when they have an opening, they do their homework. The interviews are very meticulous. They only hire the best candidate, not just any schmuck who shows up with a fresh haircut and a nice suit. And I can tell you that because I applied 4 times. And I was rejected 4 times. I stopped getting haircuts after that. I was like, I still have the suit, but I do appreciate, we do have a good police force here. Another thing about New Dublin I love is we're the city of money. That's right. Our stores are named after money. I mean, we lost Family Dollar, but we still got Dollar General, Dollar Tree. I mean, yeah. You ever been in Dollar Tree? That stuff is garbage, okay? It really is. It'll break in your hand in 3 pieces before you even get to the car, you know? Even China's like, oh, no, we don't make that stuff. Like, we outsource that to, like, Clintonville or something. I don't know. Another thing I love about New Dublin is our diversity. We're a melting pot. You know, when I talk to someone, especially if I talk to someone here in town, a little bit in the conversation, I'll pop the big question, which is, so are you from here? If they say no, I don't really trust them, okay? Say yeah, it's like, okay, keep talking. So that's our diversity. You're either from here or you're not. So. And lastly, the reason I will probably live in New Dublin for most of my life, I can't afford to move to Greenville, okay? Greenville money, you gotta be kidding me, okay? Greenville, that would set my family back 3 generations trying to move to Greenville. So, all right, well, thank you all very much.
We're going to be talking about our Grand Marshal at this time. And our president is coming out to introduce him. So that will be Ann Madden Stedman. And the Grand Marshal and his wife, Amy, are being escorted to the stage right now. So Ann.
I have the honor of introducing our Grand Marshal, Randy Shotgun Shannon. He is a radio DJ with Y100 and lives and breathes Irish like we do. Shotgun's wife Amy has the honor of being married to him and letting us all know who he really is. Without further ado, Randy Shotgun Shannon, our 2024 Grand Marshal, and his wife Amy.
Thank you for inviting us to be here tonight. I'm very happy to be here, also a little nervous. I wasn't sure I was the right person to introduce him, only because I'm mostly Irish by marriage. I was a little nervous to get up in front of all the Irish people. But I am very happy to be here to introduce such an unabashedly proud Irishman to you. He is, if you listen to him on Y100, you know that he is unabashedly proud of his Irishness. What you might also know is that he likes new technology. Anything new apps, new technology, he wants it, probably already has it. And I remember how excited he was when he heard about Ancestry.com, because it was a chance for him to learn even more than he already knew about his family. He passed on his pride and his Irishness to our children, Kylie and Jillian, so much so that when Kylie graduated from high school, she chose to go to UCD in Dublin to continue her education. While she was there, she looked even further into Randy's background, and we found out that he is descended from William Shannon, or more likely Shanahan or Shaughnessy, from County Clare. He had a son, also named William, who came of age during a time when Ireland was in a famine. And William Sr. had a choice to make: keep his young family or his small family together in Ireland, or scrape enough money together to send his son to America. And that is what he decided to do, knowing that he would probably never see his son again or the family that he would raise. And we were able to find out that William Jr., eventually settled in Kentucky and became a fairly wealthy landowner, raised a very large family, and that Randy is a part of that and stands in front of you very proud of all the Irish Shannons that have come before him. And he's going to tell you a little bit more about that.
Thank you very much. I can't tell you how honored and pleased I am to be the Grand Marshal for this year's parade. The New Dublin Parade is it's a legendary parade. It's one that I have driven our Y100 vehicle in many times over the years, and it's one of the events I look forward to most every year, and I'm just super happy to be here today. They asked me to talk a little bit about why I'm proud to be Irish, and it was actually as I was getting ready for the festivities to begin tonight, my Facebook memories popped up, and it was actually exactly 7 years ago today that I set foot for the first time in Ireland. As my wife mentioned, our daughter Kylie decided to go to college in Ireland, and she's been there ever since. She ended up marrying herself a fine Irish lad. By the way, just a bit of advice: if you ever do find yourself in the presence of an Irish lad and he tells you that he likes the crack, that's actually a good thing. It means he likes fun. They spell it different than we do, but it means fun, and it's all good. So when I went over to visit Kylie, I was like, I'm going to get the opportunity to be in Dublin, Ireland for St. Patrick's Day. This is pretty amazing. And we went all over the country. We saw castles, watched sheep, even tried my first Guinness. And I will tell you that Guinness does taste better from the factory. Doesn't mean it tastes good, but it tastes better at the factory. I was actually more of a fan of the Jameson myself. But as part of our travels, we ended up going to County Clare. And I had traced our family back as far as I could. And Kylie did a little more research when she got there. And we found out that the Shannons are from that area. And we have our family crest. It's a white shield with 2 blue dogs standing back to back and 3 blue stars above them. And we spotted this crest in County Clare, and it was really awesome because we always knew that we were Irish, but then when you get there and you see the crest and you're like, this is actually where my people are from. It's just a very cool feeling, and know that you are maybe walking in the same steps as your ancestors. And it was interesting. I had a pin, a button that had that crest on it that I had gotten when I was a kid. And when my daughter was going to be moving off to Ireland, I gave it to her. Just never forget who you are, where you're from. And then, so it was a really very special moment for her and I to find that crest there in Ireland. And as we continued on that trip, we went to see the Cliffs of Moher. Now, just by show of hands, how many people in here have seen the movie Princess Bride? All right. How many people in here have seen Harry Potter? All right, those Cliffs of Moher, they're the Cliffs of Insanity in The Princess Bride. And when Dumbledore and Harry go to find that Horcrux and they have to go into that whole big cave area, that is the Cliffs of Moher. It's a beautiful, beautiful area. And it was so windy that day, so windy. Probably 60-mile-an-hour winds. Kylie and I were hanging on to each other and hoping that we didn't blow over the edge. But it was, I have to tell you, it was one of the most beautiful things that I've ever seen. I mean, the cliffs, they rise out through the thrashing waves, and they blast onto that rock. And the tops are chiseled with 100 different shades of green and little wildflowers that are hanging on in the wind. And beyond that, it's just Atlantic Ocean. And it kind of struck me as I was standing there looking at the ocean. This is it. This is the ocean. This is the end of Ireland. And that means that when my ancestors, when all of our ancestors, were leaving their homeland, this was probably the last thing that they saw as they were leaving their homelands behind and heading off to America to try to find a better life. And so, as I stand here today, I think about all of our ancestors and the tough decisions that those families had to make to send their children away to go and try to find a better life. And I'm just so proud of all of us for having, found that better life and having terrific families and warm, loving homes. And I am super proud to be here, and I'm super proud to be a part of the parade. And I just want to wish you all a very happy St. Patrick's Day, and thank you very much for letting me be a part of the day.
Thank you, Randy Shotgun Shannon. We have some gifts for you. We have a shamrock-shaped plaque. We have a sweatshirt. We have, in this official sweatshirt, we have a new hat. With your name on it. And a blanket for the parade.
Thank you very much. Thank you.
The donation of the sweatshirts for the kids' poetry contest was made by Janet Gala. $50 from the O'Neill family. Wooden plaques made by Dave Tenney and all our club members. The poems are collected from local grade schools and read by Colleen Kelly, Maureen Egan, Cora Schned, Leah Looker, and Melissa.
Thank you, Ryan. I have the pleasure of introducing the winners of our Irish Lad and Lassie contest. And I'm going to first introduce the Irish lad, Ruben Laredo. Ruben is a 6th grade student at the New London Middle School, and he is the son of Alyssa Rush Laredo and Ruben Laredo. He would like to credit his English language arts teacher, Mrs. Keach. And I would like you to read your poem now, Ruben.
Shamrock for you and a shamrock for me. Would you like to dance at the Katy with me? The St. Patty's Parade is really great, but make sure you won't be late. With leprechauns and cabbage too, there's plenty of corned beef for me and you.
Thank you, Ruben. The Irish lass that we have selected, and there were a lot of wonderful poems this year. So the lass is Lila Tenney. Lila is in the 5th grade at the middle school, and she also would like to credit her language arts teacher, Mrs. Parker. Lila is the daughter of Carrie Tenney and Sean Tenney. Lila, we would love to hear your poem now.
A lass's gaze on Irish charm. In fields of green and gold, where tales of old and legends unfold, I'm just 11, a lass so small, yet the Irish spirit in me stands tall. A lass or a lad in every generation, witnessing the parade, a proud foundation. From humble roots to a grand display, in the heart of the city on this special day. In my hands, a shamrock with leaves of 3, luck and magic my family will be. A joyous day, St. Patrick's Day, when cheer and laughter come our way. From New Dublin streets to the countryside, a parade of stories our heritage wide. Memories and history side by side, marching through time with Irish pride. With a heart so Irish and eyes so bright, I celebrate with all my might. In this poem, I share my Irish cheer for New Dublin's beauty so crystal clear.
Thank you. Both of the poems were wonderful, weren't they? Now we're going to come and get some presents. Lila has a plaque with the Irish shamrock, and actually this was carved out by her grandpa, Dave Tenney. Ruben has a plaque and also the sweatshirt that they both can wear in the parade, and maybe you can show the back of it. So it has the Irish lassie on it. The sweatshirts are made and donated by Janet Gala. Thank you, Janet.
I'd like to introduce our 2024 Irish Man and Irish Rose, Dave and Debbie Sarna. Dave has been a member of the clap. Dave has been a member of the Shamrock Club since it started 40 years ago. And Debbie, well, she has put up with Dave's shenanigans for more than 40 years. Unfortunately, Debbie is not able to join us tonight due to some travel plans, but she will be here for the parade on Saturday. Dave's friend, Mike O'Connell, and Debbie's sister, who is standing in for her, Chris Seeger, will be saying a few words about both of them. You're on.
Thank you. Well, I'm here, but I'm not sure if Dave is here, but that should be no surprise. Everything I ever did with Dave, he was late for. Well, so if Dave isn't here, I'm going to tell you that his parents would be so proud of him. I think it's a wonderful thing that they finally saw the light and gave Dave the honor. So we're glad to have him here, and I'm glad to be the person to introduce him. Yes. Have you got all your faculties tonight?
Yeah, and you know
Yeah.
what?
Yeah.
Once in 40 years, we're both wearing a suit.
Right, it might be.
What an accomplishment, right?
Yeah, unless we both die in a car wreck on the way home. We hope it isn't the last one. Anyway.
We're dressed up anyway.
Yes, we are. Anyway, it took a long time for David to be acknowledged as the Irishman of the Year. And I have my theories. My theory is that David can sometimes do things that embarrass people. They sometimes embarrass me. They sometimes embarrass the band that I was with. They sometimes embarrass the Shamrock Club. And I could give you an example. Here's what I thought might happen tonight. That this curtain would be closed. But while I was standing back there, Dave would have said to me, Mike, we can do this. Just hold the door open for me and don't say a word. And he would be on stage and I would be on stage and he would disappear and he would say, Mike, when I give it a signal, pull the rope to open the curtain. And behind the curtain would be the hearse. And in the hearse would be the box tipped out the backside. And David, in his best half-naked wash tub routine, would be waving at the people saying, I'm not dead yet. So, speaking of grand entrances, I want to tell you about a couple of grand entrances nobody else knows. Judy and I know, but nobody else knows about his grand entrance that I'm going to tell you. None of them have turned out very well. And that's the way between David and me. I'm well planned and I stick to the plan and I'm on time and I do things on time. David is a free spirit. He just does whatever he feels is great. So we used to have this band that David started called the Black Velvet Band. And we were practicing. No one else would let us practice because it was pretty awful to start with. There were 9 of us, so we weren't especially good, but we were loud. So we were practicing at the kindergarten of Simcoe Kindergarten from the Manawa district. David was late, so we were already going into our songs, and we heard him come in, slam the door, and it's 2 flights of stairs that you have to do to get down. And he takes the first flight, no problem. Okay, he's coming, let's get ready for him. But the second step, he does an unscripted tumble down the stairs, carrying the boxes over his head, flying, shoes flying, makes a terrible, and all of us were just 9 of us staring at, oh my God, how many ribs and legs did he break? But David lands on his feet and he says, what are you all staring at? Doesn't everybody come in that way? Now I'll tell you one even worse than that. We were going to have a practice at the Mulroys when they lived along the Little Wolf River. And David comes out to get me when I lived in Simcoe, and he's got a canoe on top of the car. And we get down there. He's not saying a word, but I think, well, he must be going fishing in the afternoon. But we were going down. There's a beautiful afternoon. He says, Mike, we're going to get off at the Ostrander Bridge, and we're going to put the canoe in, and we're going to canoe down to Mulroy's house. It'll be just great. Man, it'll be a laugh. They're going to enjoy this. They'll say, where did you guys come from? And so we got into the canoe and we paddled our way about a quarter mile down to the Mulroys. Now this was where the planning should have been done a little better, a little scouting. We got down to the place, there's no landing place, but a steep embankment 20 feet high. And we did our best to tie the canoe to put it around, the rope around a stone. And then we climbed up the embankment, but I already got out of the canoe and I'm up to my knees in water. So everything I touch, burdocks are sticking to me, mud on my knees, mud on my hands and knees as I'm crawling my way up. And Dave giving me encouragement, saying, like, it's still going to be great. You know, 1 if by land, 2 if by sea. We got up there. There's nobody in the parking lot. They're all in the house singing. They're singing Bridget Flynn or some song they're working on. We go into the room thinking, well, it'll still be good. It will still be good. Nobody even noticed. Nobody even said hello. Well, get your music out and let's get going here. I'll tell you another time. We were all at Conroy's. We're having a beautiful time. Elvis was there with his band. And people were dancing and having a good time. And Dave comes over our table and he asked my Judy if she'd do a dance with him. And she's kind of reluctant, a little bit hesitant on that. She says, I'm not sure if I know how to do the dances you do. Oh, yes, you do. Just follow me and do what I do. So he goes onto the dance floor and he does a double roll. Ba-dum, 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 ba-dum. Needless to say, Judy went back to her chair and I... But here's another one which some of you may know about, but I'm not sure. And this concerns when David was working with his dad. Now, if you know old Ed, he was a very serious guy. He was all business. Not like Dave, who's some business. He's a good mechanic, but not always all business. So Dave has got an idea in his head that he wants to be a rodeo cowboy. Some of you know what I'm going to go after here. Dave, you know what I'm talking about. All right. So he has a barrel, a 55-gallon drum at his place, and he's got a rope on either end of it so he can tie it to 2 trees, and he's got a rope on it so that it's kind of like riding a bull. So he wants me to come over and help him buck the barrel. So he gets up on the barrel and he says, when I say let her buck, then you start pushing the barrel around and try to knock me off. So I do that a couple of different times that summer. And then late in the summer, he tells his dad, Dad, I need to go down to Chicago for a radio school this weekend, so I won't be at the shop. And Ed says, well, I hate to lose you, but if you got to go, that's good. We learn how to work on radios. That's a good thing. But instead of heading south to Chicago, he heads west to Balfour, South Dakota, the Wild West Rodeo, one of the biggest championships of the year. Not a great time for a first-timer to be there. And anyway, he's going to be a cowboy. He's going to be a rodeo cowboy because he likes that adventure. And he gets his correct hat. He got the right boots. And he's going to lower him down into the bull, which is called Tornado. You do not want to ride Tornado on your first ride. But that's what he did, and he gets on Tornado. But that bull knows a rookie when he sees one. And the moment he feels David on his back, he said, he's going to be dead meat. So that bull slams to the right, and he crushes Dave's right leg. Then he slams to the left, and he crushes Dave's left leg. And David is so in such pain that he doesn't think what the bull is going to do next is a little hiccup. And David's on the ground, and he's saying to the bull, we should watch where we put our feet. But that bull is mad, and the cowboys on either end, they're laughing so hard that they forget to open the gate on him. But before they open the gate, it's already busted both of his wrists and both of his ankles, I think. Oh my gosh, what a way to start your rodeo season. So anyway, I think Dave drove home as best he could, but he had to go to the New London Hospital where they patched him up pretty good, put about 3 pounds of gauze on one wrist and 4 pounds on the other, and the same with his ankles. And then, just as he's going out, he's feeling pretty good. He's going out in a wheelchair, and he's going out of the hospital, and here comes a whole bunch of little kids coming in from Most Precious Blood. They're going to do a hospital tour. And this is only me and Dave that know what he says to them. Hey, kids, don't ever take up smoking. This is what might happen to you. Well, I want to tell you that in spite of all that, Dave is one of the most creative people you're ever going to meet. But creative people are always got a little quirk in their personality. You can't ever predict what's going to happen next. But I'll tell you about the ideas guy. If the ideas are successful, it's great. And I'll tell you about 3 ideas that helped to make this Shamrock Club a well-known place in the state. And the first one is, it's Finnegan's Wake. Now, Richard Murphy told you a lot of stuff about the history of it, but I'll tell you some behind-the-scenes stuff. How that got started from a pedestrian walk from Coyles up to the Midtown with Dave Mulroy and Terry Cooney and some other bit players, Alice Norby and Judy Fields. They were having a great time. And we should have left it at that and let this just be a backwater for Irish celebration. But it wasn't. On the date that David went out and saw in the paper that you could buy a 1959 clapped out Pontiac with 260,000 miles, but a big V8 engine. And he bought that thing. And the first time that they put the coffin in the hearse to see if it would fit in everything, that old homemade coffin, they were driving out of the parking lot and David hit the gas. And that coffin whammed into the back door. And Mike Coyle looks at Dave and says, geez, you ought to take it easy. You might have put the door out of commission. And you can picture this. The two of them look at each other. The light bulb goes on. And they say, we just got the new Finnegan's Wake going to happen here. And that's where it all started, from that comment on, from then on. Well, now, let me tell you step two. And step two was the tent. And Dick Murphy told you all about how the tent was. First we were at the American Legion, and then for a couple of years, and it was crowded in there, elbow to elbow. And you'd have the Black Velvet Band played in there a couple of years, and you'd have the pipers march around, and they'd do a couple of pipe tunes, and it was wonderful, except there wasn't enough room. And David saw that there is potential here for a great celebration, and you can make some money at it while you're doing it. And he brought in this tent the next year. I think it'll be 1989. He brought this tent in, set it up himself. I don't know how he did it. It was about 30 feet by 15 feet. It smelled like paraffin and kerosene inside. I think it was from World War I, 1917 on the Marne, because there were so many shell holes in it and patches that you would think, how is anybody ever going to come out and sit in this tent? I went out there. It's got a nice little heater out there. He's got a color TV, an old RCA picture tube TV, and it's wired up to closed circuit TV inside, so everything inside could be seen in the tent. That is the beginning. And next year, as Richard said, it's a bigger tent. Until the one that's out there this year, it's as big as the Astrodome. I'm not kidding you. Step 3. I told you only 3. I'm not going to be out here very long. And that is Sister City. 15 years ago, Dave says to me, Mike, wouldn't it be a great thing if we had a sister city? And I was thinking, oh man, I don't want to do any committee work and calling back and forth and trying to get grants and oh man. But he said, this could work. This could be great. I know that he's got something already in mind. He's probably even has a town in mind because he's been over to Ireland several times. And he says, you know, Appleton's got a sister city. Milwaukee's got a sister city. Appleton's got one in Venezuela, Caracas or somewhere like that. And Milwaukee's got one, Cape Town, South Africa or something. Wouldn't it be great if we had one in Ireland? Well, that's how it begins. You got to have an ideas guy. And the ideas guy is the reason why we're celebrating with Dave Sarna tonight. Can you picture Mayor Dave Sarna, Mayor Dave, shaking hands when Mayor Tony Boyle from Killaloe, and New London has a sister city because of his work on that one. Now, I got to thank him for that, and I want to present for you, because that is the reason we're having Dave Sarna be the 2024 Irishman of the Year.
Thank you, Mike. Let's see if I can get this thing slid in here. The good part about being toward the end of the program, or for the speakers, is Dick Murphy covered a lot of good ground that I had already made note of, and Mike sure filled in a lot of blanks there as well. And you know, it's been a long journey, but I tell you what, it's something that I wouldn't replace for anything. This really has been an honor for me to be selected for this year. It's been a special week. I've tried to attend every function that we've had, and it just really made me so proud of not just stuff that I did or the starting founders did, but where it's gone to today. It's just amazing, and every aspect. You know, please make note this week and weekend, every event that's being sponsored by the Shamrock Club, how well it runs and how smoothly, and they think of everything and all the pieces are in place, and it just really is a tribute to the club and its members and where it's all going. I'm going to, I guess, introduce my sister-in-law here in a minute. And it is true, Debbie got stranded trying to get back home for tonight. She went to see our kids by Amtrak. And I guess, you know, a guy that doesn't really worry much about time, it's only was going to be 4 hours late. And for me, the heck, that's like 4 minutes. You know, that's nothing. But unfortunately, for Debbie to make her connecting travel plans from yesterday, it just totally fell through. And so she's planning on being in town here by 10:30 tonight. But 3 years back, I had the opportunity. I retired from the Army, and I retired from teaching. And I had the opportunity to volunteer at a mission, a Christian mission in Ireland, in Dublin. And so I stayed there for almost 6 months. I volunteered there. And, you know, I'm no war hero by any means, but I could have lost my life many times in many different places and 4 deployments. And, you know, when you live through that, you think, give it back whenever you can. And so I thought this was going to be a great way. I'd been to Ireland before, as Mike said, but never prolonged. So I went there and I worked, and we actually filled ship containers in Dublin to traverse the ocean to go to Nigeria and to help out people there at missions in Africa. And so it was a really neat experience. And I, like Mike says, you know, I'm kind of an ideas guy, but when I dig my heels into something, we normally can make some progress. And so the next year, I was called back to go again. And it was strange because my boss called me on Easter Sunday. And great guy, and I loved him. And he said, Dave, I hate to ask you, but man, we got about 2 more months worth of work here. Would you be able to come back? And I'm like, oh, well, I don't know. And that much time off in 2 years in a row, I said, well, let me see. So my sister-in-law is there for Easter Sunday. And she says to me, who is that? I said, it was Jim Gillette. He called me from Ireland Outreach. And he said, so what did he want? He said, he wanted me to come back and finish up the mission this year. And she said to me, I think the exact words were, I would do anything to go to Ireland. And, you know, for the 20 people that don't know me that might be out there, don't ever say that to me, because if you do, I'm going to hook you into doing something that you're not up for, but we're going to make it happen. So I called Jim and I said, my sister-in-law wants to come, and she's a great cook. And we had about a dozen people that worked there, and the cooking was always kind of topsy-turvy. And I said, can I bring her? And he said, yes. So we pack our bags, we fly to Ireland, and anybody that's gone there, it seems like every flight to Ireland, it was always one of those red-eye things where you get there at like the middle of the day, and you've been up for the last 20 straight hours. And so we unpacked our stuff at Charleville. It was an estate. It was a beautiful place. Castle, fortified building, very beautiful, built in the 1500s like everything else in Ireland. And I said, well, we'll go uptown and I'll introduce you to some of the people uptown. So we went to Finnegan's Pub in Dalkey. Now, Finnegan's Pub and Dalkey are both pretty famous. Dalkey is, everybody always told me, it's like the Beverly Hills of Ireland. And it was kind of wild because every car in the streets was like a Mercedes or a BMW, all high-end cars. And it was a lovely town. It's a seaport town. And it was lovely. And so Chris and I went to Finnegan's, and I walked in, and Noah recognized me, and he said, Dave, you're back. And I said, yeah, I am. And he said, who's the lovely lady? I said, this is my sister-in-law. And he said, what'll you be having? And I said, the usual, Jameson's and 7. So I whispered to her, you get the same thing I did. You know, I kind of whispered to her. And so by now, we've been there about 4 minutes. She knows everybody in the place. And they're like, don't listen to him. Don't drink any of that crap. You know, you want the good stuff. No, get the decanter down, you know. And I remember seeing this box up there. I thought it was maybe the ashes of the original owner or something. So he brings this wooden box down, puts the white gloves on, blows the dust off the box, and he opens the bottle and he pours a shot in for Chris. And so she puts it up to her lips and like, wow, that's really good. And 3 sips later, she's got this thing going. And so I said, well, we better get back and get our stuff unpacked. And so I said, no, I'll check, please. And so he kind of slides the check over to my side of the bar, and I put down a 20-euro bill. And so I see him, he kind of pushes the check a little further toward me. And I'm like, okay, well, I'll slide the bill a little closer to you. And so finally he's like pointing to the check. Well, her shot alone was 25 euros. And so, she's talking to everybody else, and she says, I'll have another one of them. And I said, hell if you will, not in this place you're gonna. Whew. But it was a wonderful trip, and Chris was totally a trooper, and she did an awesome job. And so she was a wonderful traveling companion, and it took her 6 weeks to learn how to make an Irish breakfast, but she finally got that down pat. But I just want to say, and I know my time is running short, for me and St. Patrick's Day and all the wonderful accomplishments that the club has achieved are phenomenal. National Geographic, do your history, sixth best place in America to be for St. Patrick's Day. Number 6 is New London, Wisconsin, and I think that's just amazing. Let's give a round up to these folks that make this happen, because I think that's fantastic. But in closing, I'm just going to say that for me, besides playing a few songs on the accordion and come up with crazy ideas on sleepless nights, I became the undertaker and hearse driver for Finnegan's Wake. Mike Coyle decided to add to the satire of James Joyce's novel Finnegan's Wake by throwing a kitchen sink at a real masterpiece, and not being able to handle alone, Mike dragged a lot of his confidence in, and there's been that many more through the years. We stopped at nothing for a gag, and we still, I guess that's our reputation today. We stopped at nothing for a gag. We had a few arrests along the way, but that happens to anybody. But the laughs have been priceless. And out of the back of the hearse, and you've probably seen a lot of this, all due to car troubles, of course, we have dropped everything from cow tanks to bathtubs, from leprechauns to soda machines, politicians to coffins full of pigeons, and even Hillary Clinton a time or two. And the list goes on. We've dropped everything except for a corpse. And if you know where we can get one, please let me know. But through it all, our meaning was to harm no one and involve everyone. And there's a core group of people, and many are dear friends that I've known for a long, long time, and all added something to the festivities. And they all, to this day, truly care for one another. There's no facade. Everybody is genuinely concerned and loves one another, and they've stayed that way for nearly half a century. So, again, I want to thank the Shamrock Club in New London for this honor. I'm extremely grateful for this recognition, and I promise you this is something I will never forget. Thank you.
We would like to acknowledge the parade royalty, and that includes the Irish Man of the Year, the Irish Rose, even though she isn't here, and the parade Grand Marshal. So here we go. This is the 101's ukulele group.
Oh, that Clancy, oh, that Clancy. Whenever they got his Irish up, Clancy Lord the boom. Oh, that Clancy, oh, that Clancy. Whenever they got his Irish up, Clancy Lord the boom, 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 boom.
I forgot to mention that that's your part when we sing boom, 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 boom. Let's practice it now. Boom, 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 boom. Very good.
Clancy was a peaceful man, if you know what I mean. The cops picked up the pieces after Clancy left the scene. He never looked for trouble, that's a fact you can assume. But nevertheless, when trouble would press, Clancy Lord the boom. Oh, that Clancy, oh, that Clancy. Whenever they got his Irish up, Clancy Lord the boom. Oh, that Clancy, oh, that Clancy. Whenever they got his Irish up, Clancy Lord the boom, 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 boom.
Shotgun Shannon went to Pups and ordered up a round. He left his drink to telephone and Clancy drank it down. Shotgun said, "Who drunk me drink? I'll lay him in his tomb." Before you could pat the top of your hat, Clancy lowered the boom. Oh, that Clancy, oh, that Clancy. Whenever they got his Irish up, Clancy lowered the boom. Oh, that Clancy, oh, that Clancy. Whenever they got his Irish up, Clancy lowered the boom, 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 boom. Debbie Sarna, she was a fightin' gal. They all knew she was tough. She strutted around the neighborhood, a shootin' off her guff. She picked a fight with Clancy, then and there she sealed her doom. Before you could say, "Debbie, look out," Clancy lowered the boom. Oh, that Clancy, oh, that Clancy. Whenever they got his Irish up, Clancy lowered the boom. Oh, that Clancy, oh, that Clancy. Whenever they got his Irish up, Clancy lowered the boom, 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 boom. Clancy left the barber shop with tonic in his hair. He went to Phil's to shoot some pool, and he saw Dave Sarna out there. Sarna said, "For goodness sake, now do I smell perfume?" Before you could stack your cue in the rat, Clancy lowered the boom. Oh, that Clancy, oh, that Clancy. Whenever they got his Irish up, Clancy lowered the boom. Oh, that Clancy, oh, that Clancy. Whenever they got his Irish up, Clancy lowered the boom, 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 boom. Thank you very much. And now we have a song for everyone to sing along with, if you would. And I think you know it all. Irish Eyes Are Smiling, followed by the Irish Lullaby. When Irish eyes are smiling, sure 'tis like a morn in spring. In the lilt of Irish laughter, you can hear the angels sing. When Irish hearts are happy, all the world seems bright and gay. And when Irish eyes are smiling, sure they steal your heart away. There's a tear in your eye, and I'm wondering why, for it never should be there at all. With such power in your smile, sure a stone you beguile, and there's never a teardrop should fall. When your sweet lilting laughter's like some fairy song, and your eyes twinkle bright as can be, you should laugh all the while, and all other times smile, and now smile a smile for me. When Irish eyes are smiling, sure 'tis like a morn in spring. I know you know it. Lilt of Irish laughter, you can hear the angels sing. When Irish hearts are happy, all the world seems bright and gay. And when Irish eyes are smiling, sure they steal your heart away. Now thank you so much. It has been such a pleasure to learn to play the ukulele with these ladies and this gentleman.
What do you call me?
Okay, all right. This guy over here. So next we'd like to do the Irish Lullaby, and please sing along with us. Toora-loora-loora, toora-loora-lie, toora-loora. singing,
Hush, now don't you cry. Tooralooraloora, tooralooralai, tooralooraloora. That's an Irish lullaby. Over in Killarney, many years ago, me mither sang a song to me in tones so sweet and low. Just a simple little ditty in her good old Irish way. And I'd give the world if I could hear that song of hers today. Tooralooraloora. Everybody sing. Tooralooralai, tooralooraloora. Hush, now don't you cry. Tooralooraloora, tooralooralai, tooralooraloora. That's an Irish lullaby.
thank you very much.
So
We have-
this one takes a little explaining.
Oh, sure. And now Debbie Sarna's sister is going to read something. I thought you did before, but I guess Dave didn't let you have the microphone. Imagine that.
My name is Chris Seeger. I'm Debbie's sister, and like they said, she wasn't going to be able to be here today, but I was just supposed to introduce her. So when I was asked to introduce her as this year's Queen of New Dublin, I researched some of Ireland's most iconic women. And I mean, there were a lot. There was a warrior, a woman who had her own cattle. Her husband had some, she had some, and he had the prize bull. So she went and got the bull and cut its head off, and now he didn't have the prize bull anymore. So, there was another one who was an aviator, and she made a very iconic flight. But the three that I stood out as having some of the same strong qualities as Debbie, and the first one is Countess Constance Markovich. She dedicated her life to helping others. Maud Gonay organized the Daughters of Ireland, and if any of you have ever gone to or are familiar with the Manawa Snowdeo, you'll find Debbie somewhere in the background making it all happen, just like Maud Gonay. Maureen O'Hara, known for her down-to-earth qualities, and Debbie has also been known to bring a few laughs to the stage with her acting abilities. It was years ago, but that she can act. So I'd like to mention one other Irish woman, and not nearly as well known, but just as iconic in our family. Our grandmother, Lillian McHenry Seeger, she dedicated her life to her family, always gave to the less fortunate, and above all, never complained about her difficult, demanding life. She served her family, friends, and community with a smile on her face and genuine love in her heart. All these women, along with your Queen Debbie Sarna, truly fit the description of the Irish Rose, a sturdy, self-reliant, beautiful woman. Debbie told me that she was very honored to be this year's queen, but she, like someone else said, she will be back for the parade. So thank you.
And in case you wondered why Debbie isn't here, I don't know if it was mentioned, but the train in Iowa broke down, so that's why she's not here. But I guess the train will be running before Saturday. We have one more song. And we would first like to have the gifts presented to the Irish man and the Irish rose.
Melissa, we have a plaque for Dave and Debbie and sweatshirts from this year, and also a necklace for Debbie and a hat for Dave. And Ann has blankets for them for the parade to keep them warm on Saturday. And like Melissa said, Debbie will be here on Saturday for the parade.
Why does my sweatshirt say "Get a life"? Thank you.
Here's our last song, and actually it was written by Doc Watson, and many of you in the audience are bluegrass fans. You recognize his name. And then the last half of it was written by Dean Sowers.
Want me to start? Let me start.
Wished I was in Dublin, some other seabird town. Get myself on a steamship and sail the ocean round. While sailing on the ocean, sailing on the sea, I think of handsome Molly wherever she may be. Don't you remember, Molly? I gave you my right hand. Said if you'd ever marry, that I would be your man. I'll go down to Shannon while everyone's asleep. Think of handsome Molly and then lay down and weep. I wish I was in Dublin, I'd buy me some new pants. I'd go to Arthur Murray, they'd learn me how to dance. I'd dance across the ocean, I'd dance across the sea. I'd dance with handsome Molly if she would dance with me. If she would not dance with me, I would understand. I'd sail to North America and join a Celtic band. We'd play in coffee houses, we'd play in the concert hall. We'd play all the old tunes and we'd know them all. We would become famous and very rich as well.
And I'd tell handsome Molly she could go to
dance. The end. Okay, we can carry these off.
Thank you so much for coming tonight. We have a little surprise for you. Our Irish Man of the Year, who is a very wonderful accordion player, is going to come out now, and he's going to play Carrickfergus. And as you're leaving tonight, the bagpipers Hans Thompson and Jesse Murphy will be in the Commons playing bagpipe. So please enjoy the accordion and then enjoy the bagpipes. Thank you again for coming this year. You've been a wonderful audience.
This is a tune It's actually named after a seaport town in County Meath in north of Ireland called Carrickfergus. And this song was recorded by the Chieftains and Van Morrison in 1991. And I remember the first time I heard it, I was actually in Killarney Parks. And I remember my traveling companions were from Ireland. They said Killarney Parks is where the Irish go to vacation, or holiday as they call it. And if you ever get to Ireland, it's kind of the southern part of the country, make a point to go to Killarney Parks because it's just absolutely lovely and you'll enjoy it. But I remember being there and hearing the song, and I've kind of had a shine to it ever since. So we're going to dismiss you right after this, so hopefully you can put up with just one last tune. Thank you all. St. Patrick's Day. Thank you for coming.